Hello, welcome back. History of Design. Hope everybody's doing well. Hope you're all prepared to hunker down and work on some design work during the Arctic freeze. Whatever, we've all been through it before. It's Wisconsin, not a big deal. So, uh, some things I've updated and made some things hopefully easier on everybody. I'm all about making things easier, making them better. We click into studio sessions and all this started this, remains the same, no big deal. But then we open up the invention of writing. And what I've done is I created a couple folders, and now I'm going to have Tuesday assignments and Thursday assignments. Because we meet twice a week, I'm going to spread out the work. Like why not spread it all out? Instead of having everything be on a Tuesday, we're going to have Tuesday assignments that we'll talk about on Tuesdays, and it'll be on Tuesday, and on Thursday assignments we talked about and dealt with on Thursdays. And it spreads things out and it keeps things rolling. And then you're not always like, oh, I have like 8 things due at once. Like, no, you spread it on out. It's a little disjointed this week because I just thought of it this morning, and I'm doing it with all my Tuesday, Thursday classes. So you have an easy assignment due on Tuesdays and then Thursdays. You'll get through it. Don't worry. It isn't, I'm not throwing like 800 things due Thursday. It's just like one assignment I didn't talk about yet will be Tuesday, but it's easy. Make sure you get your attendance session 1 in if you haven't already. This is how I take attendance. If you do not fill that out, I will mark you absent, even if you turned in everything and did everything perfect. If you do not do the attendance, you will be absent, and I report it to the college, and then it affects everything. Like, it's a big thing now. I talked about it on Tuesday because there's fraud and all this stuff. So cleaning up that mess. So don't be like, oh, I'll just do it later. And then you're like, how come I got dropped from the class? And be like, you never attended. You're like, I did. Well, you're like, no, you didn't do the attendance one. Again, 2 to 5 minutes of your time. Click on it. Start attempt. Continue. What does white space do in your layout? Well, I know that off the bat, but if you needed to, you could copy and paste it into Google if you don't know it. Oh, it improves readability. Improves readability. Boom, done. A. Just do the 5 questions. You can use the internet. It's about understanding the terms that we use all the time. And if you're in my other classes, yeah, you do. It may be the same questions the same week. It may change, but it's just a repeat of stuff. And it's a way for me to take attendance because some people are online, some people are in person, some people are virtual. It's all over the place. So that's the way I do it. Easy peasy and a little learning along the way. Video lectures will be placed here. There's video lecture for session 1, 1A, and then it'll be 1B will be today. So that covers off too much time of me talking about how we do things in the course. But now that's done, we're rolling. Midweek session review. This is where you upload your work, and I will check it Monday through Friday, at least once a day, and I will check once over the weekends. And you can post it and like, how's this looking? What should I improve? And I've already done. Somebody posted stuff. I've already gotten back. Like, fix this, change this, move this over. You have room to do this, and I'll just improve your designs. I'm the art director. You're the designer. It's a back and forth. It's how it should work. And it's a pretty much you're guaranteeing yourself an A. Because then when it gets down to it, then I'll just be like, when you turn it, I'll be like, we talked earlier, looks great. You made all the changes. And then you get a great grade for doing that, as long as you did your discussions. So Tuesday assignments. I'll talk about this one today. We talked about the invention of writing. I showed you some examples, and it's down to earth. You just follow the instructions. Here's the chapter, so you can download the chapter, peruse it, check it out, find something that you found interesting in it. Then you can create your document, and this one is an Illustrator. Like I said, we're going to be switching back and forth from Illustrator to InDesign. You got to know both of these equally well in the world, and because sometimes you don't know what the client will ask for. And then if it's multi-page, you'll use InDesign. If it's a single page, you'll probably use Illustrator, but they may have some changes and they want this or that. You got to know both equally. This stems from a lot of people would shy away from using InDesign a lot, and InDesign is just as powerful. And once you get used to it, you get used to it. We're just having to start with Illustrator. You follow the instructions as I did last Tuesday, which is posted. I'm not going to do it. And then the design, this is just your creative brief, must include a title, 200 words about your chosen subject matter. I have said you can use AI to write it. Just make sure you read it. You know, make sure you peruse it and make sure it doesn't add something dumb in. I do use AI for research, but I have to read it. And then I often find things like, what? Why did it say this? And then I have to go through and delete it. So make sure you're reading it. 5 new period correct images, and then a background design. Just small little nugget pieces where it gets you to design stuff. Try things out. The more you do these, like the sizes will change a little bit because you're going to group these into a final project at the end of the semester. So, you know, don't lose these, keep them, make corrections, make sure they're all perfect because you will be coming back to these at some point. So make sure you do it all right. It's going to look great. And then it's just, you're going to see your progression over the semester. So it's going to be pretty great. And then you export 2 ways. As we talked about, there's always the client version. Client doesn't need to see everything. They just want to be able to check it and make sure it looks good. If you're going to print, then you have a higher res, more involved PDF that you send out, and then they can print from that. So all the instructions are here. I will even, over the next couple of weeks, I'm going to show you how to save presets for the client and print ready. And then you don't have to go through this whole thing of clicking these. All you have to do is click client preview or print ready preview, and boom, it does it all for you. And then you just export. So we'll get to that soon enough. I'll probably go over that on Tuesday of next week. So you know what to do there. We talked about it. Again, if you are unsure, just please review the document. The other one, no. That's what we did. We did the invention of writing. We went over the lecture. Let's do our other little design and then our major design. So this one is due Tuesday. This is a title assignment, I call it. This is supposed to be kind of like quick, down and dirty. You're going to be using InDesign. And it's just the title because you're going to be using this later on as well. And I want you to play primarily like learning, doing some text work, text adjustments, not just typing stuff out and leaving it, but like thinking about how do I work with typography. It's always a part of graphic design, and these are to just kind of stretch that. So what you're going to do is you're going to create this InDesign document. I'm going to go through it with you. We're going to do it. And then you are going to create the composition. So the design must include a title, and the title is The Invention of Writing. It can only be in 2 colors. You can only use 1 font, and you have to do 2 typographic modifications. What does he mean by that? It means like, I just don't want you to type out the 4 words and be like, all done. But we're going to start to look at the words and how do we emphasize or change something to make it more interesting. Anybody can type out words, and if anybody can do that, why even study graphic design? You're an artist and a graphic designer, and within these parameters, you should be able to create something that's far more interesting than the average person just typing it out. If that's all you want to do is type it out, then you might want to think about just an average career where you just type stuff and you're not creative. So that's why I'm pushing it. Like, what's 2 typographic modifications? Well, we'll play around and let's check it out. I'm going to move this to the side. I'm going to open up InDesign, and I'm going to follow my own directions. InDesign is opening on a different screen. Here it is. And I'll talk about some other things along the way. All right. New file. So I'm going to create a new file, and it says create a print document that is 6.5 wide by 1.5 tall. All right. Pages, 1. Facing pages, unchecked. Don't make sure that's unchecked. Whenever you're working in InDesign, and if you're only dealing with a single page, make sure that's unchecked. It just makes it easier to work. overall. If you're doing multiple pages like a book, then facing pages should be checked. But this gives you that weird split page, and it'll even do it if it's a single page. So make sure you're paying attention to that. And if you don't want it, then you just start over. It's easy peasy. We don't have to worry about the columns. The margin, set the margins at 0.125. So I'm just going to add a 1 in there. So that's 1/8 of an inch. It's a tiny little piece. And so I don't want the margins taking up 50% of the piece, because if it's 1.5 inches tall and 0.5 of that ends up being margin, that only gives you like a 1 inch. So I did this on purpose. Set the bleed at 1.25 as well. And the easy part here is I just have to put my cursor in there, hit the 1 and hit tab, and it populates those all correctly. And then I can hit create. Well, I did something wrong there. So I'm gonna go to, why did it put my bleed? Let's try that again. 1.5, margin. Oh, 0.125 tab, not 1.25. How come nobody called that out? Just kidding. There we go. That's what it's supposed to look like. And because I didn't do facing pages, I don't have that weird line here. I kind of, I don't know how everybody works. They're all working good. Over the years, I changed the way I work and the way I set up my working space. And once Adobe came out with this properties menu, I have now kind of gone down to a column on one side, a column on the other, and it's usually I have layers and pages and then properties, because I keep properties open all the time and layers open all the time. And this way you can just go from one side to the one side, the check stuff, and it makes it so much easier. My rulers are turned on, and I want to know where the halfway point is. And so I'm going to pull a guide, and it should get sticky. Well, 6.5 is, half of 6.5 is 3 1/4. And then I want to split it to 0.75. It's right there. And that way I know, I put these in because I want to know where the center point is on my design. And then I know where quadrants are. And then you work from there. So say turn on the ruler, pull one vertical, one horizontal guide that's split it in half. And then I can call this layer, if you want, you just do that, and I'm going to call it title. I'm going to create another layer, and I'm going to pull it here, and we'll call it background. All right, set up our document. Now you can go crazy within the parameters. So the title is The Invention of Writing. I don't even have to write it. I can just copy and paste it. That's how lazy I can be. So I'm just going to copy that. And then I'm going to create a text box on the title. And I'm going to paste. Why is it not doing it? There, The Invention of Writing. Now we can start to play around. Adjust things, change things. Oh, shit. Oh. Why is it doing this? There we go. I don't know why I squished the type there. That was weird. That was like I had a free transform on. All right, The Invention of Writing. What can I do to make this more interesting? Well, one, you use one font, right? The other one is how do you play with the words a bit? So a lot of times what I do is I copy and I paste, and I paste a bunch. And I separate out the words. And so I'll like have the, and then invention, and then of. And it's a little bit harder to do this in InDesign, but it's still doable. And then you can start to play with these. So I can make these boxes the approximate size. I'm not squishing, squashing, or distorting the text. I'm simply making the text boxes like smaller so that it's easier to work. All right. And then when you switch, if I'm like, I want invention to be big, I'm going to use this free transform tool, which is so rad. It's like one of the best tools around now, is when you click on that and I grab a corner and I hold shift, it will make this all bigger. I don't have to sit there and like adjust my type size. I just grab a corner and make it smaller or bigger. This only works if you're on this free transform tool. If you do it with just the normal select tool, all that does is make the box smaller. It doesn't do anything to the information on the inside of that box. So I use free transform all the time. And then you can start to play with, you know, the size. This is, I'm changing the size. And then maybe I'm going to zoom in and like, let's look at like how we embed stuff. So like, if I have like this kind of lined up with the invention and I'm looking at this curve and the E, and you can even use the arrow keys for like tapping and be like, what if I want the invention? And I'm going to zoom back out and then of writing, like how should that be? And of course, writing should be bigger. Grab that. I'm going to make sure I can get that a little bit smaller. And then I'm going to make sure I'm on free transform and I'm going to hold shift, make that bigger. And then it's like of writing. So how should these go? I'm going to zoom back out a bit and I'm going to, you know, like, if there's something funky I can do, you know, so just say I started with that. And then I can grab all 4 of these. I don't need your help. Go away. Okay, I can grab all 4 of these. And again, with that free transform tool, I can now scale this. I'm holding down shift and I can scale this and it all grows the same. See how that's doing that? And so I can get it to my margins. And then like I have the invention of writing. And then like, what if I like, now I can do the background and I know our text is, you know, like if you look at the weird, that's a weird because it just made a square. It's not letting me do this. Did they just change that? No. Looks like I got some errors in my system. But I'm going to do like, what if I do pull this across? And again, I'm working with the bleed. All right. So I want to make sure that anything that goes off the border goes off, you know, all the way off. And what if I change this to black? And I'm going to move it up. Delete. And if I put it like here, and then then I go back to the text. Can I do the text both at once? No, I hate that. All right, so I'm going to grab this text. And I'm going to do the text fill as paper. I'm going to do, and this one, text fill as paper. You know, and I'm just playing around. And I'm still like, this is only one color. And they're like, you know, like, what if I put a color or background, you know, a different color up here, or you can just leave it at that. This is 2 colors and it's kind of dynamic. And you know, making sure that I'll be checking stuff like, are you using bleed properly where your stuff extends all the way to the bleed mark, you know, or past it. And then we can go and let's preview this. Like, you know, how does that look? Does it need to be moved around? So this is like a little title and it's just a playing around. So my 2 typographic modifications right now are, you know, I made the text different sizes. It's not just typed out in one size only. You can change a letter form. Now, something I can't fully show you because MATC has these library blocked, even though it's not. But if you go to your Creative Cloud, right? And you go to the home and you go up here and this is fonts, right? Or you go to Adobe Fonts. If you click browse more fonts. It'll take you to their website. And all of these should be loadable for all of you. You should have access to all of these. And I don't know if you were ever taught libraries, and I wish I could teach it better. I just started using libraries like a couple of weeks ago because I wanted to be able to shift things. I have 3 different computers that I work on, and I wanted to be able to shift them. Turns out that the MATC, like big computers, don't allow me it, but my 2 other do. But I can do stuff like, oh, this looks like handwriting. And what you can do is if you click this add to libraries and you make a library, save to library, and say I'm like, so I have libraries already set up, but it just won't show them. And I like make a new library. And I call this one like writing. So I know it's for invention write and hit save. What that does is if I open the libraries properly, it will show a little folder and it'll say writing, and that font will be in there. And so I can click on the font and use that font. What that does help with is if you're going through and you can be like, let's say I want brush, right? You know, like we'll look at brush because maybe, view 12 more. Brush may be the best one for like the invention of writing. You know, like, do I have something that will look cool and work for me? But what you can do, if there's one that you like, you can like click on it. I don't know, I'll do this. And then I can just click on it, save to library, save to writing. And it's going to put it there. Then when I open my Creative Cloud libraries, it will populate there. And I'm not having to remember what I loaded, what I didn't load. And I can be like, oh, for this project, I wanted to play around with these 3 fonts. And boom, you can do it. So I want you to play around with that. So this is a simple type experiment in which I put on certain limitations to help you be more creative. You know, instead of just typing it out, what can you do to make it more exciting? How can you make these 4 words very, very exciting? And it starts out difficult, and then you start being like, okay, what if I change the G or something, you know, something weird? And then you can, you know, go back out. You should be able to do layers. I wish I could show you the library stuff here. It's so dumb that it's locked out. I've requested to have it unlocked. Type. And you can, in InDesign, create outlines. And then so just like Illustrator, you can then go in, and if you're like, I want to adjust certain items, though this is weird, it combined the T and the H, but you just, you know, type, create outlines just like you do in Illustrator. And then you go to edit, and I want to ungroup. I go group and ungroup. Oh, object. Oh, it's selected. Why can't I ungroup it? Oh, there's some restrictions here. XV, there we go. So I cut it and pasted it, so I got them separated. So like that's like, so like, oh, I want to do something where I do like a hanging E, you know, like, I don't know. Play around, have some fun, experiment. Give yourself time, don't rush it, you know, like set a little timer and be like, I'm going to spend an hour on this. And you just play around for and until you're like, oh no, I'm kind of good with this, but like, don't set yourself up for like 15 minutes. So have some fun with it. Any questions about the title assignment? All right. Big guns. Let's talk about the big assignment now. It's not that hard and big. So that one is Tuesday. So the invention of writing title and the invention of writing design are both due on Tuesday. Okay. And that's no different than it was. The only thing I really change is the Thursday. So this Project A Part 4 is due on Thursday. What you're going to do is you will be creating 3 posters for a client of your choice, but each poster will be designed in a representative way of a different time period in graphic design. So what you're going to do, we'll read through this and I'll show you this, and then I'll show you the example, and I'll even start to get you set up. We'll use up all our time. All right. You're going to open up this research project. Again, you don't need to read it. It is the culmination of chapters 12, 16, 17, 18, and 19. They're a little further in the book. Here's why. Some of this, like doing a poster in the style of The Invention of Writing, would be really kind of goofy. I think they're far more dynamic setups. And what you can just do is like start to go through and just like page through it. And when you like see something that's like super exciting to you, like, oh, I love this design. Okay, 1656. This is what I'm so, and then you're gonna read about it, and you're like, I told you this is one style I want to do. All right, you know, like I love this. I want to do a style. I want a poster that looks like that. And then you're gonna go through, and you're like, I know I love Herbert Matter. You know, like this is so rad. I'm gonna do one like that, and then maybe one from the WPA, or you know, this is you know, Alexei Brodovich, or, you know, like you're gonna pick 3 that jump out to you and look through them all. Don't just look through the first. You know, kind of do the whole thing and find ones that you like. 3 of them. So you're gonna select 3 different graphic design styles from the Megs of History from this Project A. Whatever 3 you want. You are going to write at least 50 words about your chosen style and include 3 other historical visuals. All right. So I want you to know where you're heading, and they need to be historical. So you got to watch out for that, because nowadays when you look online, you find a lot of stuff that it's new, but it looks like it's old. So I want you to like look for that specific person and then make sure that what you grab is true. So we're going to start out there. So it's 50 words, and it can be from the book, from a website about that person. You can use for this part, you can use AI to just be like, give me a 50-word write-up about this graphic design person. And then you just you read it, you make sure you understand it, and you can copy and paste it. And then you find your 3 historical visuals. Let me tell you something. Don't use AI for this. It'll not work. I've tried to use their thing like find me examples, and they're like horrific. It's not at that point yet. So first off, you're the coolest ones, and then pick ones that you think in your head also, I can do something like this. And I'll help you along the way. Like if you're like, I really love this style, but I'm not sure how I'm going to do it, we'll have a fun back and forth. We'll work together. We'll do it. Again, I tell everybody over and over and over, I'm here on campus a lot, Tuesdays and Thursdays from 8:30 a.m. until 4 p.m. And I'm here on Mondays and Wednesdays as well, just a little bit shorter time. Come on in, work with me. Let's chat. Let's sit down and like dig in and do some work. I can also video chat, whatever, so we can get it done. But yeah, pick a style that you know you can do, and that it will look like authentic. Like we want to trick people and then have them think it was like actually from that time period. Third one is select a client. You can pick anybody you want. I want you to pick somebody that you're excited about, that you can get some information about. And yeah, it should be something like, oh, this will be cool. I think this client would make a cool poster. I have students who pick local companies. I've had students pick, you know, like Nike. You can go wherever you want in the range of client for this. Just pick something that you do want to work on for this project. All right. And then I need 50 words about your chosen client. Like, who are they? What are they? Like, why did you pick them? Like, you know, I don't know every brand out there, so I'm going to read through it and be like, what brand is this? Oh, okay, great. I don't know every store, everything out there. Now you're going to create a presentation for this, and it's going to be a multi-page presentation document set up in InDesign. I will help you out with that. I'll do it for you, but you should sort of know how to do this. This will, stretch your skills, and I'll be talking to you when you send stuff to me. I'll be like, you should use paste in place, or you should be using master pages, because when I look at your PDF, things jiggle around. Like something will be like here on one page and then slightly over by 3 pixels on another page, and I'll be like, oh, that's you. These are the things you do to relieve that, because that's what you need to do when you're doing multi-page documents, even for print. You want things to be lined up exactly in the same space, So that's a lot about what that's about. Your research will include all 3 designs, the 3 write-ups, your client, the client write-up. Again, using grids, parent pages, other tools. That's right, they changed it, the parent pages, to something else. It used to be master pages, it's parent pages now. They changed the name of it. I don't know. Same thing. And then I do have a little student example, and then you're just going to export this. This is just easy peasy export, but I also do want to see your InDesign file. So when you're saving, I want to see both files, because then I can go and I usually look at the PDF, and if I see wonky stuff, I'll open the InDesign file and be like, oh, here, this is what you should change on it to help you out. And then there's a peer review. So this project, like, you just double check the projects, make sure you're seeing that they have a peer review. If I don't mention it, make sure you scroll all the way down, and then you comment on 2 people's work. So here's a student example. The historical poster series. Client brief and styles, that's what they chose to write. They chose, the company is the Daily Bird. They have some images so we can see what it looks like, and the write-up, it's in the River West neighborhood in Wisconsin. Great little write-up. I think we improved this design. This was the starter design, and I had, it was like, it's a little bit bottom heavy. There's a big gap at the top. It could be centered better. So I did work with the student on this. This is their first try, but then we improve as we go. And that's why you use the midweek project review as well. It's like we improve as we go. And the student, the project changed a little bit. I'm asking for 3. So don't just be like, what your example I had 1. This is just a baseline example. It's not exactly. So they chose the Vienna Secession, Modern Movement in America, and Paul Rand. They need to include, 2 more images here, but they made it look, they even went so far as to somewhat make their pages match their styles that they're picking. And so do that as well. It's fun. It helps you, try some new things out. You don't have to go crazy, and like, if you do like Art Deco, like I don't expect you to like draw this whole ornate thing, but you just bring something in to help describe it. I want you to design posters, but this is part of the process in which I want you to experiment, but you don't need to go like overboard and be like, I spent 20 hours on this. I'll be like, oh, that was too long. If you break this out, an hour on research, 3 hours on the design. And that's even a lot of time. So how would I go about doing this? It's InDesign. I'll go back to home, create a new file. So what is that? 4 pages. We have a intro page, the client page, and then 3 examples. So that's 5 pages total. So I'd go width is, and this is the required width. Why is it 16 by 9? Well, that's the size of standard screens as of now in standard screen in the world, sort of. Like we went from 3 by 4, it's actually 4 by 3, excuse me, which was old time TVs. And I'm sure some of you have never seen one. It's that old big giant box. The standard screen size back then was 4 by 3. And the reason it was 4:3 is when they invented film, somebody said, well, what size should it be? I forget, it was, I can't remember if it was Edison, Thomas Edison or somebody else, but they literally just said, I don't know, how about 1 inch by 3/4 inch? And that proportions out to 4:3 proportionately. And that's why we have TV screens back in the day were based on the film size, which was just an arbitrary guess. And then it finally changed over the years to cinematic and then, you know, blah, blah, blah. So now we are on 16:9, which is widescreen, which is what old movies were. And now they're stretching them even more, but that's not used as a common style. So 16:9 means that when you click on it, it will open and fill the entire screen, and you're not left with any quote unquote letterboxing. Pages, 5. So you should always do 16:9. I know sometimes programs like will default to 3:4, and if it ever does that, don't do that. It just kind of shows you're not up on things. People will question, why did you do it 4:3? Like, oh, because it just defaulted to that. And they'll be like, you're a graphic designer. You should never use default. That's kind of true. Like if you're a designer, you should always stray away from default. For me, I always use margin. I always use bleed, and I'm going to check for this. And so I usually just settle on 1/4 inch for both. And it's just giving you some areas. I don't ever worry about slug. So I'm going to create. But so what do I have here? 16 wide, 9 high, 5 pages, not facing pages. Again, this one I don't want facing pages. I want separate pages. And then you'll be able to add to this more easily. I'm going to click facing pages and I'm going to redo this. I want you to see the difference. So I clicked on facing pages and I believe it defaults to this, and you can go in and reset your default. So facing pages isn't default. I can talk about that in the future. But then I'm going to hit create. And this one's wrong. I'm going to redo it. But when I go to pages, this is that facing pages. And so like when you go to page 2, page 3 is attached. And when I'm working in a presentation format, I don't want to be going from side to side. I just want to go straight down. It's easier for me to work. And then anything you have on this one, if it's going into this one, like it may overlap. It's just a pain. So unless I'm doing something, and we will have a document at the end of this course in which you will be doing facing pages, but not yet, not for the presentation. Don't worry about that. So again, I'll go to File, New Document, 16:9, and I'm just going to click off facing pages, and I'll hit Create, and boom. I got 5 pages. I got my parent page. It's all set up. I got my margin. Nothing goes past the margin. That's important. I got my bleed. And then you can just start jumping in. You make your layers, use parent pages, do other things. I'll show you some quick, fun things to do. If we look at the example, let me open that up. Like the daily bird. I'm just going to copy this. Now there's 2 ways. If you want the text always in the same spot, I'll name my layer and let's call it like base title. And then paste in the daily bird, and I'm going to make that smaller. It just did what I didn't want it to do. I'm going to choose the free transform, so I can just hold shift and drag it and make it bigger. I'm going to set it in this corner, but I'm going to set it down low. I'm going to just have it touching my margins. So that's where I want it set up. But that's just on page 1 down at the bottom. Now, if I want it on every page, there's 2 ways I can do that. I can use parent, or I can use paste in place. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure this is unlocked, and I'm going to cut this. And I'm going to go to parent, and I'm going to double click on the parent page, and then you have the layers, your pages and layers. And if I go to edit, paste in place, it'll put the Daily Bird here, right? It's on my parent page. And then, as you can see, it is now on every one of my pages in the exact same spot. So when you see me click through, nothing moves, nothing changes. So it's a great way to use a parent page. Now, if I delete that out, it removes it from everything. Now, if I go to edit, paste in place, it's there. But it's on page A, but it's not on 3, 4, or 5. But if I take that and I copy it and I go to edit, I can do, oh, I thought this doesn't have it. I can just go to page 2 and go to edit, paste in place. Page 3, edit, paste in place. 4, edit, paste in place. 5, edit, paste in place. And what it's doing is it's placing that exactly in the same place on every page. And that's how you get away from jitter when you do multi-page designs and you always want something in the same spot on every page. That's how you go about doing that. So it works out really well. I use parent pages and I use paste in place darn near daily. One works better than the other for certain situations. Like if you wanted to change the color of the title of this on every page, you would use paste in place. If it doesn't matter, you'd use the parent page because that keeps it the same all the time. But then you could do stuff like you can have like 10 different parent pages and have like page breaks that are like a different design and different color, but it has all the same information on it. So that's how you kind of go about building that, working with that, and designing your layout. Let's see what else is there. I think that should cover everything. Make sure you are, not just visually following my example, as it's an older example, but you're doing exactly what it says: 3 design styles, 3 design style write-ups, client choice, and it says, 3 historical visuals for each style. So make sure you are following all the directions. It shouldn't take you long. I want you to have fun. Pick something like that really stands out to you, is cool, and you can do, and you're going to work with me, and I'm going to help you accomplish the certain effects you might want to get. So is there any questions, comments, or concerns about what we went over today? All right. Well, I think we did a good job and we covered off on a bunch of stuff. Like I said, this project will be due Thursday. I believe I've already updated it to 29th. Double check. We have now the Tuesday's assignments and Thursday's assignments, and I will keep rocking that the rest of the semester with us. That we'll meet Tuesday. You'll have some stuff due. Thursday will be the big project, and then there'll be some overlaps once in a while, depending on what happens. So if there's no questions, comments, or concerns, I will let you all go. Feel free to reach out to me. I'll be around. I'll check hopefully every day. And if you have, emails or whatever, just let me know your questions. I'm always around, and I'm around for tricks and tips. Here's the other one. Well, I'll just add this in at the last minute. I continually Google for how to do things better. Meaning if I'm working on a project and I was setting up a bunch of like lecture files, I was like constantly going like Googling like, how do I get this to do in InDesign, like better? And I was like every day I was like asking Google how I could do something in Illustrator or InDesign to speed up my process, make things easier, or get the effect that I wanted. So I'm around, but Google's like great. And there's so many people out there have like, how do I can't even think of like one right now, but there's always like weird technical, like where I was like, I wanted like, how do I in one move do this sort of thing? And then you can find that. And it just made it easier as I was doing more and more design work. So that's another great resource. I don't mean to just push you to that resource, but it's good and it's easy. And I know stuff, so you can always ask me. So, all right, cool. Cool. Have a great weekend. And if I don't talk to you about anything else, just let me know if you need anything, and I'll talk to you on Tuesday. All right. Bye-bye.